We also have social customs and norms about personal space and eye contact. Cultures differ on what is or is not acceptable. We tend to want a certain amount of distance between ourselves and others. About 18 to 24 inches in our culture is average. We tend to also have different zones for different kinds of people. In intimate relationships, the distance is less. In personal relationships, it's usually from 24 inches up to 4 feet, and for social distance, it's generally 4 to 12 feet. In public settings, it's a little more, 12 feet and up. Think about where people sit in the classroom. Most students want at least 12 feet between themselves and the professor. In the United States, the gesture of smiling is fairly common, but in some cultures it's seen as flirting and inappropriate for any kind of public contact or in a business meeting. The text explains that when Walmart expanded their stores to Germany, they trained their greeters and clerks according to American customs to smile at the patrons, and Walmart received complaints because the customers felt the clerks were flirting with them. Eye contact also follows social customs. It's appropriate to make eye contact within the triangle on the slide. Staring directly into someone's eyes may cause discomfort or be interpreted as flirting, rather than just acknowledging someone's presence. So, smiling is not seen as appropriate in some settings in other cultures. While in a U.S. setting, smiling might be acceptable, but in other cultures it's not. Body language is also being studied and taught in business and government so that workers can have a better read on people. Homeland Security spends $200 million a year on behavior detection programs to try and determine when people are engaging in deception. Some hotels train their clerks to read the body language of their guests on arriving in order to know how to greet them. Irving Goffman developed the concept of dramaturgy, likening sociological life to drama or stage plays. Goffman also spoke about impression management, meaning that we actively, although not perhaps always consciously, manage the impression people have of us. Goffman spoke of the front stage, which is where we perform the role of what's expected of us. For example, your doctor meets you in their office and examines you and shows you their professional side with professional discussions. But there's a backstage to the office, the doctor's personal office, their file rooms, and other places where much of the work takes place. Impression management is important on the front stage, but not so much on the backstage. How you do your role is your role performance, and depending on what role you need to play, your actions will dictate your behavior. Your behavior as a son or a daughter might be very different than your behavior when you're in the workplace or having a night out on the town with your friends. Role strain occurs when you have different roles with different expectations. Your friends might expect you to drink alcohol, while your parents expect you to abstain. Or you might want to please your parents with straight A's at school, but not want your friends to think you're smarter than they are, or a geek. Most importantly, we tend to become the roles we play. The more we do them, the more likely we are to engage in the roles without thinking about them. Leaving a role can threaten a person's identity, and then it takes some reforming of the self. We all engage in dramaturgy, just in different roles and in different ways. We perform our roles, and the people around us respond to us and to the roles that they need to play. Role strain and role conflict are two different things. Role conflict is when our roles in one status is incompatible with a role in another status. We can minimize the conflict by trying to segregate the stages in which we play our roles, For example, you don't invite your parents to the party where you might go drinking, or at least most people wouldn't. And that way you don't have to worry about your parents' expectations about your sobriety or worry about not being part of the group because you abstained. Role strain is when you are in different roles at the same time. So the example of the student getting a grade on a test and being with their friends in the classroom, that's occurring at the same time. Your text author points out that how we feel about ourselves often depends on how society tells us how we should feel. You improve yourself by improving how others see you, and particularly women are socialized to think that they should look a certain way. The messages, particularly from the media that's supported by advertising, these messages are pervasive and powerful. And attractiveness pays off. Studies find that better-looking individuals make more money than those deemed less attractive.